Why at state object exists in SwiftUI? Have you ever noticed your SwiftUI screen randomly resetting? Maybe your API gets called multiple times. Maybe your state disappears unexpectedly. Maybe your view model keeps getting recreated. If that sounds familiar, there is a good chance you are using the wrong property wrapper. Today we are going to understand why Apple introduced at state object and when should you use it instead of at observed object. By the end of this video, you'll never confuse these two again. This code looks perfectly reasonable. We have a view model we created inside the view and we observe it using at observed object. Many developers stop here. The problem is that this code contains a subtle bug. The bug doesn't always show up immediately, but once your app grows, you'll start seeing strange behavior. Let's understand why. The key thing to understand is that SwiftUI views are structs. They are value types. SwiftUI can recreate them whenever it needs to update the UI. This is very different from UIKit, where a UI view controller usually has a longer life cycle. In SwiftUI, view recreation is completely normal, and this is exactly where many developers get into trouble. Because when the view is recreated, everything created inside that view can also be recreated, including our view model. Let's prove it. As discussed previously, we are having a profile view model as observed object. Inside our profile view model, we are going to have a print statement. Now run the app. We are triggering some state updates with the increment button. Watch the console. Notice how the initializer keeps getting called. That means new view model instances are being created and every new instance starts from the scratch. That's usually not what we want. In production apps, this causes real problems. Imagine your view model fetches user data from an API. Every time the view model is recreated, another network request is triggered. Or imagine a form screen. The user enters data, the view model gets recreated, and suddenly the form state is gone. These issues are frustrating because the code often looks correct, but the underlying lifecycle is wrong. This is exactly why Apple introduced at state object. When you use add-state object, SwiftUI creates the object once. Then SwiftUI keeps that instance alive across view updates. Even if the view struct itself is recreated, the view model survives. Your state stays intact. Your API calls don't repeat unnecessarily, and your app behaves predictably. Here is the simplest rule that you need to remember. If the view creates the object, use add-state object. If the object is passed into the view from somewhere else, use at observed object. That's it. This single rule covers most real world situations. Here is a typical example. The parent owns the view model, so the parent uses at state object. The child simply receives the view model, so the child uses at observed object. This ownership model is exactly how SwiftUI expects state to flow. Let's recap. SwiftUI views are recreated frequently. If the view owns the view model, use at state object. If the view model is passed into the view, use at observed object. Understanding ownership is far more important than memorizing definitions. And mastering concepts like this is what separates someone who writes SwiftUI code from someone who architects SwiftUI applications. If you found this useful, follow for more senior level iOS and SwiftUI content. We also provide iOS training, resume reviews, and mock interviews for those who want to grow in their career and switch into iOS development. You can also contact me for freelancing support. Thank you for watching.